Hey guys, it's Mr. Moore. I'm very excited because I always wanted to do this. I always wanted to have video reviews for books, books that I read. And lately I've been on that Gary Vee train along with everybody else, Grant Cardone, all these influencers, Lewis Howes, and Gary Vee came out with a few books, and one of the books that he's been promoting is Crushing It, and I have it here. He has this one and Crush It. Crush It was the first of the Crush It books. Crushing It was the second one. It was the most recent book that came out. To be honest with you, I did not want to purchase the book right off the bat. And the reason why is obviously when an influencer or salesperson, whatever, is on the map and they write a book, the first thing they say is buy my book, and they promote it, natural. And I didn't want to buy it right off the bat. I just took advantage of the free content that Gary gave to everyone and continues to give. So I told myself that I'll do a book review on Crushing It, and I'll do one on Crush It. So I'll reverse engineer it. First I'll read Crushing It, then I'll do Crush It. And as I read the book, I have these little tabs. I don't know if you can see them here. It's kind of like ruffles for books. Added them on the side here for anything that is practical, actionable, right? If you don't know by now, I hate fluff. I can't stand it. And I just don't like it. And when I say fluff, I mean fluffy content, right? Content that just doesn't get to the point already. That kind of, if you ever clicked on some type of ad that led you to a testimonial page, and that testimonial page led you through some cheap free ebook for $5, but when you click that, it's like, that's not all. You're also getting this and this and that, kind of a rabbit hole of clicks. They call it as a click funnel. Anyways, I'm on a rant. I hate that. It's fluff. It's content that serves no purpose. It's if you go to like these articles that you read online, like 5 tips on how to improve sales, and they'll give you one, don't be scared, and being scared is not so good, because if you're scared, then you can't take risk, and blah 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 horse shit. Honestly, it's all fluff. And I feel like a lot of companies, businesses, business people do that just to get content out there, just so they could kind of rank in SEO and then have a presence online. And I think that's fake. I think that's kind of cheating the system. And what happens is everyone is doing that, so the whole place is becoming saturated of just fluffy content. So I'm done preaching about how much I hate fluff. I look for actionable things, practical advice, very like step by step. This is how to do it, a formula in a way. Well, business is not so much of a formula because there's a lot of art to it and a lot of trial and error, but there are certain formulas and tactics that you can do, strategies that successful business people like Gary took to get results, right? It's practical. Like, what do you do from Monday to Sunday or Monday to Monday every single day for a few years? There's a certain strategy in place, right? If you're doing real estate, you're cold calling, posting ads on Craigslist, I don't know, but there's a certain strategy, a systematic process in place. So that's what I look at. That's why you have all these freaking tabs over here. Every tab that you see here, I thought had some practical advice, some practical value to me. And I wrote a bunch of notes. I'm going to kind of go back and forth. But overall, let me just start with overall the review of the book. I was excited because I'm a Gary Vee fan. I'm also a fan of Lewis Howes and Grant Cardone and all them. But I'm excited because every piece of content that I've read, heard, watched from Gary Vee had a lot of value in it, practical things. From time to time, he has fluff, and I think fluff is a good way. A little fluff is okay to buffer, right? To brace for impact in terms of the knowledge that you're getting. But I guess what I'll do is I'll just kind of go through my notes. These are the tabs so you get an idea. And by the way, I highly recommend. I personally like having a physical book in mind. What I did was I created a website for myself to be a reference point for all these tabs, because one day I'm not going to have this book. Something's going to happen to it, so I want to have a digital copy of my thoughts and my notes on the book. So that's my website, Mr. Moore, but it's a work in progress. So I guess I'll just kind of go into it randomly through the pages that I read. One thing I wanted to talk about, let me see if I have it here. It was page 67 of the book. Let me see if I have, yeah, page 67 of the book. Is it 67? Yeah, it was page 67. Yes, this page right here. My tab on there. And I have allergies today. But one of the things that I loved about this part was it was an actionable item that I took away, and I obviously marked it, and it was just do things, right? Gary always says do things. So create content daily, and that's what I mean by fluff, right? Create content daily is a fluffy, that's a headline. So he goes into the more like the depth of it, and part of it is, biz dev daily, and what that means is meet with 2 or 3 people a day who you can get awareness. Now, if you're trying to build a social brand for yourself, right, or brand influence or whatever, biz deving is DMing people on social media. That means going on Twitter, following them, and then sending them a message. That means going on Instagram and searching a certain hashtag or a certain influencer that you're interested in, and then following them and then DMing them. And do this on the daily. Let me see if I have. So he said that's what he said. So when I stuck it as a note to myself, I immediately thought to myself, let's just say you're making music, right? You make beats, and your goal is to obviously make beats and explode into the industry and whatever. Well, what I would recommend, if I were to take this strategy, would be to obviously beef up your Instagram account if you're on Instagram, right? So we're using this tactic on Instagram. Beef up your Instagram account with your beats and your day-to-day and your content and all that good stuff. And then once you start beefing it up with some decent content that doesn't show that you're new to Instagram, right? It's like you have activity. Spend about an hour or 2 a night, and this is kind of the Gary Vee tactic, searching hashtags on Instagram, either a hashtag that is important for that is relevant to your industry, but in this case, in Gary Vee's advice would be, let's just say, searching hashtag for beats or musician or whatever it is. If you have an influencer in mind, a musician in mind, search him, DM him on Instagram, and a bunch of them, and her and them and all of them, and tell them, hey, I make beats, and I love your stuff, I love your music, and what I want to do is I want to make a free beat for every one of your songs for the next week or month or whatever it is. Try that, right? That's a tactic that you could literally do tonight if you make beats. And you could do that on Twitter, and you could do that on Instagram. I love Instagram because it's very underutilized. The hashtags are great. There's a lot of spam. I'm sure on Instagram too, but on Twitter it's a lot of spam. That's one, all right? So make free beats for people on Instagram. That was my takeaway from this particular part of the book. All right, one of the popular questions that I have in mind that a lot of people ask, that I notice people ask Gary Vee, is what if you have nothing to create, right? What if you have no content to create, you're just lacking inspiration? So Gary Vaynerchuk says to document. So you got to document, amigos. Stupid word that I just used. Document. Literally, if you make beats and you're trying to build content, then document, meaning a day in the life of you, right? So you're in your computer, you're signing into whatever program that you're using to make beats. Show that, document that, right? Make your beat, screw up, show the screw up on the Instagram page or on the YouTube or whatever it is that you're using. Eventually something will stick. All right, moving on. Page 106, I made a reference to perspective. Yes, that's what I wrote. Page 106, I titled it Perspective, this particular part. And I don't want to read it verbatim, but people are not willing to sacrifice, to work hard, to create a brand for themselves and build a business or whatever it is, because they just don't see that immediate gratification, and it's hard work. It's tedious and it's hard work. But what they're willing to do is they're willing to come home, watch Netflix or play video games and PS4 and Xbox and all that other bullcrap that doesn't actually make you money. And for what? Like, at what expense, right? They're not sacrificing, and in return, what they're doing is they're playing video games, screwing around, and because of that, they're not making money. That's a waste. I think they turn off the lights. They turn off the lights. Leave it open. It's fine. All right. Anyways, so people are not willing to sacrifice working hard to create content and build a business and a brand for themselves because it's not immediate, right? They're not getting it right away. You could do a month of straight content, retweeting all that crap. You will get nothing. It's not a months long journey. It's years down the road. And if your goal is just to monetize, I don't think it's going to work. And I'll give an example. You know what? Screw it. I'll give an example now. One of the chapters, and now I'm skipping a little forward, but one of the things, the concept, the philosophies that Gary mentioned was authenticity. You have to be authentic when you're posting content, you're releasing content. When I read it, it actually made a lot of sense to me, as opposed to like a fluffy, hey, yeah, be authentic. But a few years back, I decided I wanted to try to make money doing affiliate marketing. And one of the YouTube channels, videos that I saw was create a YouTube channel on a niche product or keyword or whatever it was, and just write blog and content about it. And then, depending on the product, put the affiliate link to that. So when people read your blog and click on it, you will get a little commission, a little percentage of whatever they purchase. So mine was whitening toothpaste. It was teethwhitening.com. Decent domain name to buy. Teethwhitening.com or whiteningmyteeth.com. I don't remember. So I was excited. I followed exactly the steps that they posted on YouTube, and I started writing content for it. And I wasn't really interested in teeth whitening, now that I don't need it, but I thought it would be interesting to write about it because it was niche in a way. Because it wasn't a passion of mine, what I did was I went on other articles and just rewrote the entire article, and I got bored so fast. I didn't even last a month doing it. And the reason why is because I wasn't authentic. Ooh, got Twitter like. I wasn't authentic at all. And I got bored. And I was like, wow, this is very tedious, and I didn't enjoy it. Now I'm to be honest with you, I'm trying to build out this brand awareness for myself. I'm in SaaS, I'm in software, I'm in sales, customer service, and I'm literally following the systematic process that these successful business people are telling me to do, or telling everyone to do, and we'll see. I hope it works. But one thing I am passionate about is reading business books that have actionable items that I can literally copy and paste whatever they tell you in the book and apply it in the real world, right? And that's what I did in the company that I'm at right now. I did it with sales. I started with Grant Cardone, and I started reading his stuff and watching his stuff, his knowledge on sales, and I literally applied it to my calls, and it worked wonders. So I like applying, right? I like copying and pasting and applying, and I like creating after that, right? You get to know yourself. Anyways, next. All right. So. Let's see. I had a question. A couple of weeks ago, Gary always preaches about being one of the first on Twitter, Uber, and all this crap. And I was like, wow, I kind of want to be attentive to the market and see what's available and what's out there. So I asked on Twitter, how do I find out what's out there on the app, or what the next big app is, and kind of do what Gary Vee would do, right? God, I sound like such an obsessed fan. Anyways, part of the book that Gary said was, I don't remember the chapter, but I have it in one of these crazy tabs, was go to the App Store, look at your top 100 apps that are there, download some, and then play around with it. Consume yourself in it, like just bathe in it, right? Bathe, breathe it, get used to it, and then you will eventually have this gut feeling, this intuition, yes, it clicks towards whatever app that you've tested out, and whatever that is, go with it. So strategy that I got from it, download the app, consume yourself, feel it out, play with it, next, feel it out, right? That's what we do with shoes. We go into the store, we try on shoes, it works, it doesn't, we return it or we don't buy it, but we at least try it out. So do the same thing with apps. It just takes a lot of time. I don't know why I didn't find the page for this. Anyways, side note, throughout this book, as I'm reading this and I'm like meditating on it, and I had like these ideas. I'm like, oh my God, you could do so many side hustles. And Gary, a lot of times in the book, introduces these sections called How I'm Crushing It. And he introduces different characters into the book, or different real people that applied crushing it strategies to themselves, and they made it somehow. And well, they made it because they crushed it. That was pretty stupid. Anyways, side hustle idea. Let's just say you love paintballing, right? I have a guy in the office here. He loves paintballing. He's a professional paintball player. And I told him, I'm like, you could straight up create a YouTube channel on paintball guns, right? Very niche. And you have credentials because you're a paintball expert, whatever. Go to local stores and reach out to other stores and say, hey, I have a YouTube channel. I'm a professional paintball player, and I want to do reviews on paintball guns. I will return the paintball gun to you. All I ask is if I could borrow it for the video. I could even do it in your store. Plus side for them, oh my Lord. Plus side for them is you advertise their store. It's free advertising for them. Plus side for you, you have content to write off or to talk about. That was the chair. Content to talk about. And eventually, if you have enough views, enough watches, enough fan, whatever you want, momentum, you could start charging people. You'll get sponsors. Other paintball areas or areas in paintball will reach out to you and say, hey, let's invest. I want to pay you to talk about this gun. I want to pay you to talk about this paintball uniform and helmet. Who knows? I don't know exactly, but try it. That was an idea that I gave him, and if anybody's out there doing paintball and there's a professional paintball or a professional in any type of industry and you're not doing this, you are out of your mind. I promise you're out of your mind. It's such easy tactics. Oh, my fave. Page 225. I have the notes written on my laptop on the blog that I wrote. That's why I'm kind of reverting back. 225. I feel like I'm about to do a sermon over here. 225. Side note, one of the things that Gary Vee, Crushing It, mentions in the book, they bring out a story. I think it was page 230. Brittany Xavier, she has a page called Thrift and Threads. Was it that one? No, it wasn't that one. Sorry, John Lee Dumas of Entrepreneurs on Fire, which is a website that I use. Was it that one? It wasn't that one. I don't remember which one it was, but one of the things that it stuck out in my mind was a person that Gary mentioned in How I'm Crushing It section, and one of the things that they ended with was you have to get comfortable speaking to the camera like it's a person. And yeah, that seems very obvious, but that really stuck out in my mind because I guess I'm trying to speak to the camera like it's a person, but the second you put a camera on someone's face, the personality changes, right? Now they know they're being watched on purpose, and it just changes the dynamic. And I don't know why, but that really stuck out, and that was like an action item, right? So talk to the camera like it's a person, and the way to do that, I think, in my opinion, is to literally not give a shit if you screw up on camera. One guy in the book said, in Crushing It, said, I didn't know how to edit the videos, basically. He didn't know how to edit videos and do all that crap. So instead, he would just record everything, even the screw-ups, and not because that was part of his strategy, but because he didn't know how to edit. Kind of my situation, unfortunately. What else over here? All right, page 225. I won't even show it, but 7 Steps to Biz Dev on Instagram. If you haven't read the book yet, I swear all of these little sections are worth it. Just one section alone is worth it to purchase the book, because that's one takeaway you could apply to your business that will actually probably help you grow and make money eventually. But I'm not going to list the steps, but there are 7 steps in here, literally 7 action items you could take on Instagram to biz dev. Remember one of the things I mentioned? DM people online. This is, I guess, a more in-depth view on it with examples. It's incredible. Stuck out of my mind. I literally marked it as practical, and it was incredible. Let's see what else we got. What else did I write for the notes? Side hustles, I mentioned paintball. Good stuff. Well, I did mention Brittany Xavier for Thrifts and Threads. So what she was doing was, she does social media, right? She works full-time, and she decided, hey, I'm gonna do social media for other companies. What she started doing was, I think if this is the correct story, she started giving it away for free, right? Her skill, social media, for free. And because of that, she got some traction. And eventually, when she was able to charge people or companies, she would charge them $100 for captions to post on Instagram, right? She'll put a caption with and tagging them, and then another $50 to tag them in a photo, and another $50 or $100 to do something else on the post. Let me tell you, McDonald's, McD's, they do not make a chunk of their money from the dollar burger that you buy. They make it from the upsell, right? They don't make it from the dollar. They make it for the, and let me get a side of fries, and let me get a Coke, and let me get this, and let me get that. They make it from the upsell besides the real estate. Forget the real estate right now. They make it on the upsell, and there is a website called Fiverr.com, Fiverr.com. It's kind of like Upwork for freelancers. It's a marketplace where you could buy and sell services starting at $5. It creates like the dollar store for services, but it's for $5. Anyways, the way you make money on Fiverr, and I use Fiverr, I'm on Fiverr, I'm a seller on Fiverr, is you don't make money on the $5 only, because who the hell's gonna do anything for $5? You make it on the upsell. So on Fiverr, you could start something at $5, right? So let's just say you do, you're a proofreader, right? You're really good with English. I think that's how you say it. Really good with English. So for $5, you'll review a 200-page Word document for them and check out any grammar mistakes and all that, right? For $10, you'll review another 200. For $100, you'll review the entire chapter of the book or the entire essay, or for $1,000, you review the entire book, do a proofread of the entire book. If you're translating, right? Oh my God, I'm so freaking excited. If you translate, right, you know English and Spanish or English and another language, what you could do is for $5, you'll translate 50 words for them from Spanish to English or vice versa. For $200, you'll translate an entire, I don't know, from English to Spanish. But think about it. You're upselling, you're not making money from the initial bite, you're upselling. The $5, that extra, that little that you give, that you charge initially is just bait. Not switch and bait, but just bait. And when they bite that, you offer something else and something else, right? I'm not telling you to switch and bait or bait and switch it, because baiting and switching is you're offering something that doesn't exist when they appear wherever you are. I'm talking about giving them the bait, delivering it, and then offering something else. So bait and bait, I guess you could call it. I don't know why I'm in a rush. Page 240, John Lee Dumas, Entrepreneurs on Fire. I listened to the podcast. It's excellent. Something that he mentioned that I believe in, that I also read in the Slight Edge book, was that every year he rereads the book, whichever book that I think he was talking about Crush It, because this wasn't written at the time, but he was rereading Crush It every single year. And the reason why is if you actually take the action items in the book and apply it, right? You actually apply it to your job, to your work, whatever it is, and then you come back a year later and reread that particular chapter, that particular action item that you read, it will look completely different, because now you were a practitioner, as Gary Vee says. You actually practice what they preached, and you've seen it, tried and tested, you've experienced it, so now your perspective has changed. That's why he rereads it every year. Honestly, that's really the biggest takeaways I had that I had to talk about. Overall, what did I think about the book? 1 out of 10. I will give it a 9. I'd give it a 10. I would give it a 10. For a second, I was thinking about the how I'm crushing it part was a little fluffy and like, okay, well, tell us about the struggle. But you know what? The struggle was mentioned there. I have a ton of tabs in here. And I would give it, you know what? Let me pull it back a little bit. 9.5 out of 10. The other half, a lot of it was mentioned in the book Crush It already. And I actually read Crush It after this. So I was able to see, I'm like, oh, yes. And Crush It was excellent. It had a lot of content. I would recommend this to anybody trying to grow a business, not just a brand. You can do a lot with this on the business. I would say focus if you're doing a lot of stuff here and you want to focus on like new social media apps, and you're not familiar with Musical.ly, which is something that he mentioned, and a bunch of other apps. I would focus towards the end side of the book, because that's where he really goes into YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, actual action items. The beginning part of the book, there was a little fluff, a little rah pump up, which I personally didn't need, but that's okay. But overall, I would probably say I'm going to read this book again, not in a year, but probably in a few months. And honestly, I don't care if Jessica Alba read the book or The Rock read the book and applied and made money, because they already had money. I care about the Joe Schmo that had nothing, that was working full time, coming home late, and then applied these tactics and sacrificed and did real things and made some money and branded himself and grew. That's what I care about. I really don't care about Jessica Alba or The Rock or John Mayer. I mean, John Mayer's music is awesome, but that's how you sell, right? He's selling it. Obviously, he's not gonna put John Smith from Oklahoma read it and loved it, because that makes no sense. But check it out. That's my opinion. Let me know your thoughts. Read it and then let me know your thoughts, because if you let me know your thoughts before you read it, well, that's just silly. That's a wrap.